On the morning of my sister's wedding, our driver leaned close and murmured, "Get under the blanket, and don't make a sound." 30 minutes later, I heard something that changed everything. The morning before my sister's wedding, our driver told me to disappear. Not emotionally, not symbolically, physically. He slowed the car on an empty road, pulled over, turned to me, and said in a steady voice, "Get in the back. Lie down. Cover yourself. You need to hear something." I actually laughed. I'm the older sister, the reliable one, the emergency contact, the human safety net, the one who wired deposits when Dad's business dipped, the one driving across town to clear the final floral payment for my sister Amaya's dream wedding. I was tired. I was proud. I was unsuspecting. "I'm not hiding in my own family's car," I told him. Rafi didn't smile. He's been with us 11 years. He drove me to university, picked me up the night my ex left me crying under a streetlight. He has seen me at my worst and never once judged me. "Missa," he said quietly. "Please. Trust me." There was no drama in his voice, just protection. Against my pride, I slid into the back seat and pulled the blanket over myself. 30 minutes later, we stopped outside my parents' house. Doors opened. My father's voice. My sister's bright, bridal laughter. And then, after tomorrow, she won't suspect anything. My name. They said my name like it was an item on an agenda. Under that blanket, I stopped breathing. My heart slammed so loudly I was certain the car itself would pulse. "She transferred the final amount last night," my father said casually, almost bored. "After the wedding, we'll move the accounts." Amaya laughed, that soft, delicate, well-practiced bride laugh. "I told you she would. She has a hero complex. She needs to feel needed." Hero complex. That's what they called it. For perspective, I paid for 70% of that wedding. The venue deposit? Mine. The designer? Mine. The emergency aesthetic upgrade when Amaya cried about lighting? Mine. 3 years ago, I co-signed a temporary business loan for Dad. I ended up repaying it myself, because that's what older daughters do. We hold up the structure while everyone else decorates it. 3 months earlier, I'd asked to review the business statements tied to that loan. After the wedding, Dad said, every uncomfortable question in this family was postponed until after the wedding. Now I knew why. "We'll freeze her access once we transfer ownership," Amaya added lightly. Transfer ownership? My stomach turned cold. "Armin already signed," my father said. Silence. Not outside the car. Inside my chest. Armin. My fiancé. The man who held my hand in hospital corridors when Mom had surgery. The man who told me, "You carry too much alone. Let me take some of it." Amaya's voice softened. He said, "Once the wedding's done, it'll be cleaner. No drama before mine." Cleaner. Like I was paperwork. Like I was an obstacle to be processed. 2 months ago, Armin had asked me to sign restructuring documents. Tax optimization, he'd called it. He explained it over dinner, calm and confident. I skimmed. I signed. Because love doesn't anticipate betrayal hidden in fine print. Outside the car, my father's voice dropped lower. "After tomorrow, she won't control the company's shares anymore. Armin will, through Amaya's husband." And suddenly, everything aligned. The postponed conversations. The rushed signatures. The wedding urgency. The sudden financial silence. It wasn't celebration season. It was extraction season. Under that blanket, listening to my family redistribute my life like assets at an auction, I felt something inside me shift. Not heartbreak. Calculation. Because they thought I was the dependable one. They forgot something. Dependable doesn't mean powerless. And I had just heard enough to start loading my own plan. The loan I repaid. The company I rebuilt during lockdown. The shares that were temporarily placed under my name. It was never about helping with the wedding. They weren't borrowing my support. They were removing my ownership. And the cruelest detail? They planned to finalize it the morning after I helped my sister glide down the aisle. I pushed the blanket off. "Drive," I told Rafi. My voice was steady. My temperature wasn't. The wedding was flawless. Crystal chandeliers. Imported orchids. A string quartet dissolving into gold-draped air. Guests praised my father's remarkable financial comeback. I smiled at every compliment. I adjusted Amaya's veil before she stepped into the spotlight. "None of this would have happened without you," she whispered. I almost laughed. Oh, it happened because of me. Just not in the way she meant. The real humiliation wasn't private. It was staged. After the vows. After the applause. After champagne glasses chimed. My father tapped his glass and called me forward. "Isla," he said warmly into the mic, "the backbone of this family." The crowd clapped.
Backbone.
He continued, "As part of our growth, we're proud to announce that our family business is transitioning leadership to the next generation." The screen behind us lit up. Documents. Smiling photos. Armin signing beside my new brother-in-law. Effective immediately, my father said, "Ownership has been restructured." Restructured. I hadn't been consulted. I hadn't been informed. Armin stepped beside me, slipped an arm around my waist like we were posing for a magazine cover. "Don't make a scene," he whispered. "We'll talk later." The applause thundered. They thought it was a celebration. They didn't notice the timestamp on the contract displayed briefly on screen, signed 2 days ago, backdated to match my digital authorization. That was the moment clarity arrived. They hadn't just betrayed me. They had redesigned me into their exit strategy. And they assumed I would stay silent. I didn't make a scene. That was their first miscalculation. I smiled for photos. Toasted the bride. Danced once with Armin while he murmured crisis management into my ear. "It's temporary. It's strategic. You're overreacting." I nodded like a woman convinced. Then I went home alone. Pain doesn't always explode. Sometimes it organizes. At 2:14 a.m., I sat at my dining table. Heels off. Lipstick still intact. Laptop open. Every document I had ever signed for that company glowed back at me. They thought I skimmed. They forgot who stabilized their collapsing accounts during lockdown. They forgot who renegotiated vendor contracts when supply chains froze. They forgot who insisted, very politely, on dual authentication access for efficiency.
Me.
By 3:02 a.m., I wasn't emotional. I was strategic. Yes, Armin had controlling shares. But operational liquidity, vendor agreements, deferred tax triggers, those were bound to transitional clauses. Clauses I drafted 3 years ago. Clauses requiring my written authorization for transfer of active vendor relationships. No vendors. No supply chain. No product launch next quarter. No valuation. They hadn't stolen a crown. They had stolen a display case. And they'd made the announcement public, which meant investor confidence now depended on performance. I drafted 3 emails. 1 to the top supplier. 1 to the regional distributor. 1 to the investor Armin had been courting. Subject line: structural clarifications required before Monday. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to let gravity do its work. Monday, 9 a.m., their first official board meeting under new leadership. I wasn't invited. I didn't need to be. 8:42 a.m., my first email was opened. 8:47, the supplier replied. We were unaware of ownership transition. As per Clause 7b, confirmation from original signatory is required before shipment continues. Clause 7b.
Mine.
8:53. The distributor called Armin. I know because my phone lit up with frantic messages. What did you send them? Answer me. This isn't funny. 9:02. I forwarded documentation to the investor.
Clear.
Professional. Surgical. Please note, I have not authorized operational transfer pending due diligence review. Liquidity exposure remains high. 9:11. My father called. I let it ring. 9:14. The investor withdrew from the announcement. 9:20. Shipment frozen. 9:27. Valuation slid before it ever stabilized. 9:31. My doorbell rang. Armin stood there. Without applause. Without microphones. Without confidence. What are you doing? He demanded. I leaned against my kitchen counter, coffee in hand. I'm protecting my assets. You're sabotaging us. No, I said evenly. I'm exercising rights you forgot I still possess. His jaw flexed. You're going to destroy this family. I smiled softly. They tried to erase me. Silence thickened. Then I delivered the sentence he wasn't prepared for. I haven't even started. This time he believed me. They didn't collapse overnight. That would have been merciful. They unraveled. By Wednesday, 3 vendors requested formal clarification. By Thursday, the bank flagged inconsistencies in restructuring filings. By Friday, the investor publicly postponed engagement pending internal review. Translation: no confidence. My father arrived that evening. Not furious. Desperate. He stood in my living room like a visitor unsure of the layout. We can fix this privately, he said. Like you fixed it publicly? I asked. He flinched. Amaya didn't come. She sent a message instead. You're ruining my honeymoon. That almost made me laugh. Armin tried a different approach. He came at night. No anger. No superiority. Just fatigue. You're making this bigger than it needs to be, he said quietly. I studied him for a long moment. They thought this was about control. It wasn't. It was about correction. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the dependable daughter. I was the contingency plan they forgot to account for. I studied him for a long moment. Did you love me? I asked quietly. Or did you place me? Not choose. Not cherish.
Place.
Like an asset. Like leverage. Like a stepping stone. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Silence can be brutally articulate. That was my closure. By the end of the week, the celebration glow had turned fluorescent and clinical. Emergency board meetings. Law firms looped in. Whispers about timestamps and authorization trails. I never accused anyone. That's the part they underestimated. I didn't scream betrayal. I requested audits. And audits don't shout. They dissect. By Sunday, my father's attorney called. Missa, we'd like to discuss a settlement. Settlement. Such a delicate word for structural panic. But I wasn't negotiating from heartbreak anymore. I was negotiating from leverage. And I had one final card left. The kind you don't play unless you're ready to walk away from the table.
Tuesday. Noon.
Neutral office. Glass walls. Polished wood. Corporate civility. My father. His lawyer. Armin.
Me.
They expected numbers. They expected me to demand my shares back, reclaim my seat, and quietly return to the corner they had designed for me. Instead, I slid a single folder across the table. I'm not here to regain control, I said evenly. I'm here to exit. Confusion flickered. Inside the folder. A structured buyout proposal. Fair market valuation. Immediate liquidity requirement. Clean transfer terms. And attached at the back, a compliance report I had filed the week before. Not against them. Against structural irregularities tied to backdated documentation. I hadn't accused anyone. I had simply requested formal regulatory review. If I've been removed from ownership, I continued calmly, my signature cannot appear on transitional authority documents. If it does, it becomes a legal inquiry. Armin's face drained of color. My father's hand trembled just slightly against the table. You would destroy us, he whispered. I held his gaze. No, I said softly. I'm choosing not to rescue you. Silence expanded across the glass room. I stood. Approve the buyout by Friday. Or let the audit continue. No raised voice. No threats. Just consequence. By Thursday evening, the funds cleared. By Friday morning, I resigned publicly. Investors reframed the story before anyone else could. Founder exits amid governance restructuring. Graceful. Strategic. Controlled. They kept their shell. I kept my capital. And my name. Amaya texted once. Was it worth it? I didn't respond. Because this was never about revenge. It was about correction. They built their future assuming I would remain small, silent, dependable. Instead, I left with liquidity, reputation intact, and something far rarer than money.
Clarity.
The morning before her wedding, they thought I was hiding beneath a blanket in the back seat of a car. They never understood. I was listening. And now, I don't finance ceremonies. I construct legacies. Alone.